Welcome to Building Laws, or the PD 1096, National Building Code of the Philippines. May 1, 2005, the revised IRR of the NBCP took effect. Exemptions: traditional dwellings and those covered by the BP 220. Construction: all on-site works done from site preparation, excavation, foundation, assembly of all the proponents, and installation of utilities and equipment of buildings or structure. Addition: any new construction which increases the height or area of an existing buildings or structure. Erection: installation in place of components of a buildings or structure. Alteration: construction in a building involving changes in the materials used, partitioning, location, size of openings, structural parts, existing utilities and equipment, but does not increase the overall area thereof. Repair: remedial work done on any damaged or deteriorated portions of a building to restore its original condition. Renovation: any physical change made on a building structure to increase its value, utility, and improve its aesthetic quality. Conversion: a change in the use of occupancy of a building or any portions thereof which has different requirements. Moving: the transfer of any building or portions thereof from its original location or position or another, either within the same lot or to a different one. Demolition: the systematic dismantling or destruction of a building in a whole or in a part. Ancillary building structures: a secondary building structure located within the same premises, the use of which is incidental to that of the main building. Building official is charged with the duties of issuing building permits. In the performance of his duties, a building official may enter any building or its premise at reasonable times to inspect and determine compliance with requirements of this code. The building official may order the work stopped or order discontinuance of occupancy or use. Dangerous buildings: when a building is found or declared by the building official to be nuisance, is dangerous or ruinous, the building official shall order its repair, vacation, or demolition depending on the degree of danger to life, health, safety, and/or well-being of the general public and its occupants. Building permit: a document issued by the building official to an owner, applicant to proceed with the construction, installation, addition, alteration, renovation, conversion, repair, moving, demolition, or other work activity of a specific project. Ancillary permit: architectural permit, civil, structural permit, electrical, mechanical, sanitary, plumbing, and electronics permits. Accessory permit are issued by the building official or accessory parts of the project with very special functions or use which are indicated in the plans and specifications that accompany the building permit application. Are issued by the building official for activities being undertaken prior to or during the processing of the building permit. Validity of building permit: 1 year from the date of issue. Suspension, abandonment of construction: 120 days. Types of construction: Type 2: wood with 1 hour fire resistive materials. Type 3: masonry in wood, incombustible construction for exterior walls. Type 4: steel, iron, concrete, masonry, incombustible construction for walls, ceilings, and permanent partitions. Type 5: structural elements of steel, Iron, concrete, or masonry building shall be fire resistive. Fire zones are areas within which only certain types of buildings are permitted to be constructed based on their use or occupancy. Highly fire restrictive zones or non-combustible structures or construction assemblies, 3 to 4 hour fire resistive throughout. Fire restrictive zones. Buildings or structures are permitted with fire resistivity measures. Walls of at least 2-hour fire resistivity, 1-hour fire resistivity throughout for suburban areas. Fire resistive rating. The degree to which a material can withstand fire. Time period rating. Length of time in hours a material can withstand being burned. Fire restrictive standards. Classification of construction according to their fire retardant or flame spread rating. Eaves over required windows shall not be less than 750 millimeters from the side and property lines. Projection beyond the exterior wall shall not exceed beyond at point one-third the distance from an assumed vertical plane located where the fire resistive protection of openings is first required to the location on property whichever is the least restrictive. When openings in exterior walls are required to be protected due to distance from property line, the sum of the areas of such openings in any story shall not exceed 50% of the total area of the wall in that story. Firewall. The reinforced masonry or reinforced concrete separator with the appropriate fire resistive rating and which shall be positioned between dwelling units or between buildings to maintain the fire integrity of each building. Fire resistive wall thickness. 4 hours, 175 millimeters. 3 hours, 175 millimeters. 2 hours, 150 millimeters. 1 hour, 125 millimeters. Firewall, particularly openings except for permitted vent walls, shall not extend above the roof from 400 millimeters to 1000 millimeters. Abutment. Form of semi-permanent or permanent structures constructed along a property line, usually of masonry or reinforced concrete or other fire-rated materials. A vent well with a clear width of 1 meter is the only permitted opening in an abutment or firewall. Development levels. The physical development within a lot that may take place at any combination of or at all of its 3 different levels. At grade or on immediately above the structure of the lot. Below grade, below the surface of the lot, which entails excavation and backfill works. Above grade, above the surface of the lot, up to the air above it subject to the application of the building height limit. This is the area wherein most construction takes place. Development potential of lot. Maximum extent of physical development that may be introduced into the lot. Carrying capacity of lot. Optimized extent of physical development without causing undue damage, effects, or hardship. New development. New physical development within a lot that is open for development, vacant, unutilized, development committed, or other lots that are similarly situated. Redevelopment. Physical development consisting mainly in renovation, rehabilitation, retrofit, upgrading, expansion within a lot or property that is underutilized or unfit for habitation. Development controls. A set of interacting regulations concerning physical utilization of lots. Transitional surface. A specified surface sloping upwards and outwards from the edge of the approach area and from a line originating at the end of the inner edge drawn parallel to the runway center line. 14.3% or 1:7. Slope of the transitional surface. A height clearance permit shall be first secured from CAAP before building permit may be issued for the construction of buildings located within the approach-departure zones of airports. A height clearance shall not exceed 45 meters in height above the elevation of the runway. On-site parking. Parking slots and ancillary spaces that are located outside road right-of-way and to be provided only within the property lines. Limits of a site of a lot in which building is to be constructed. Off-row parking. Parking slot and ancillary spaces that are located outside road right-of-way. Off-site parking. Parking slot and ancillary spaces that are located outside street and to be provided only within the property lines of a separate site of lot in which a project is not located. 2.50 meters by 5 meters. Car parking slot for perpendicular or diagonal parking. 2.15 by 6 meters. Parallel parking. 3 meters by 9 meters. Jeepney or shuttle parking, loading or unloading slot. 3.6 meters by 12 meters. Standard truck or bus parking, loading slot. 3.6 meters by 18 meters. Articulated truck slot, container van or bulk carrier, and a long, hooded prime mover. Multi-floor parking garages may serve the 20% parking requirements of the building within 200-meter radius provided at least 80% of the parking requirements are complied with and integrated in the building design. Traffic-generating buildings such as shopping malls or similar facilities that have a very high volumes of pedestrian and vehicular traffic may be located at major intersections or within 100 meters of such intersection, provided that the distance between the street curb of the ingress or egress and the straight curb of the intersection shall not be less than 50 meters. The dwelling shall occupy not more than 90% of a corner lot and 80% of the inside lot and subject to the provision on easement of light in view of the Civil Code of the Philippines shall be at least 2 meters from the property line. Footings shall be sufficient size and strength to support the load of the dwelling and shall be at least 250 millimeters thick and 600 millimeters below the surface of the ground. 200 kg per square meters. Live load of the first floor. 150 kg square meter live load of the second floor. 120 kg square meters wind load for roofs for vertical projections. Stairs shall be at least 750 millimeters in clear width with a rise of 200 millimeters and the minimum run 200 millimeters from Group A dwellings only. Yard. A vacant space left between the outermost face of the building and the property lines. Setback. The width of the yard. Front of lot. Side of a lot on which the main pedestrian and vehicular access into the property shall be situated. Court. An occupied space between the faces of the building lines and the yard or another court free, open, and unobstructed from the ground upward. Inner court. A court bounded on all sides or around its periphery by building lines. Open court. A court bounded on 3 sides by building lines with one side bounded by another open space whether public or private. Through court. A court bounded on 2 opposite sides by building lines with the other opposite sides bounded by other open space whether public or private. Courtyard. A portion of the yard for which the permitted limit of paving hardscaping shall not exceed 50% of the area of the yard. Minimum horizontal dimension of said courts and yard shall be not less than 2 meters. All inner courts shall be connected to a street or yard either by passageway with a minimum width of 1.20 meters or by a door through a room or rooms. Habitable rooms shall be provided with artificial ventilation, shall have a ceiling height not less than 2.4 meters measured from the floor to the ceiling. For buildings of more than one story, the minimum ceiling height of the first story shall be 2.7 meters. The second story minimum ceiling height shall be 2.4 meters. The succeeding story shall have an obstructed typical headroom clearance of not less than 2.10 meters above the finished floor. Above stated rooms with natural ventilation shall have a ceiling height of not less than 2.7 meters. Mezzanine floors shall have a clear ceiling height of not less than 1.8 meters above and below it. Rooms intended for any use not provided with artificial ventilation shall be provided with a window or windows with a total free area of openings equal to at least 10% of the floor area of the room, provided that such opening shall not be less than 1 square meters. Toilet and bathrooms, laundry rooms, and similar rooms shall be provided with a window or windows with an area not less than 1, 1 in 20 of the floor area. Such rooms were provided that such opening shall not be less than 240 square centimeter. No vent shall have at least dimension less than 600 millimeters. Easement, a kind of public open space defined under the Water Code and other laws that must be absolutely free of all forms of physical obstructions that can negatively affect. Promenade, pedestrian accessways and the like, and to be located above, below the easement may also be developed for public use. Esplanade, if wider than 9 meters, the easement may include a roadway, carriageway component of which vehicles can pass or on which the same may temporarily park. Sightline, the line of view from any fixed or moving station point within a building or from any other open space within or immediately outside the lot or from any point within public open space. View corridors, the visually uninterrupted width, depth, and height of all available sightlines running through and along roads right of way, easements, and similar rights of way, open spaces within lots or through and along designated public spaces, including recreational areas. Public space, for continuous flow of pedestrian and vehicular traffic that must be free from prohibited physical obstructions. Road right of way below grade, refer to the portion of the road right of way reckoned from the finished surface of the roadway and the sidewalk all the way down into the ground. Air rights, the right to develop, benefit, and profit from the use of RROW is given by the government, general public, and should therefore be compensated. Road right of way above grade, refer to the portion of the road right of way reckoned from finished surface of the roadway, carriageway, and or the sidewalk arcade all the way up the air. RRO at grade, refer to the portion of the road right of way reckoned from the natural grade line up to the unfinished surface of the roadway. Interior or rear lot shall have a road right of way access street with a minimum width depending upon the number of buildings or units which it serves. Road right of way access street shall not be less than 3 meters in width. Interior or rear lot road right of way access street shall be provided with a minimum 4 meters wide shuffland. Sidewalk, the portion on each side of road right of way reserved for the exclusive use of pedestrians and disabled who are in transit. Open sidewalk, which is neither roofed or covered and with a paved walking surface. Its breadth shall extend horizontally from property line. Covered sidewalk, otherwise known as arcade. The minimum width of the sidewalk for road right-of-way, width of 9 meters or more, shall be 1.2 meters on each side of the road right-of-way. Sidewalk of 2 meters or more in width shall include on its outer side planting strip of not less than 800 millimeters in width up to a maximum of one-third of the allowed sidewalk width, separating the curb from the sidewalk pavement. Combined open and arcaded sidewalks shall be provided with a planting strip of not less than 800 millimeters in width up to a maximum of one-third of the allowed sidewalk width as a separating strip between the arcaded portion and the open portion of the sidewalk. Whenever the slope of the street does not exceed one-half the sidewalk grade shall follow the level or slope of the street. Whenever the slope of the street is one-tenth, the sidewalk shall be maintained level for every 20 to 40 meters of the run. Sidewalk of different levels shall be joined by means of ramp having any convenient slope not exceeding one-sixth. The entry ramp of the driveway connecting to the roadway surface to the sidewalk surface shall have a slope ranging from one-third to one-fourth. Whenever the height of the curb is more than 200 millimeters, driveways may be constructed across the entire width of the sidewalk provided that the driveway shall be joined to the sidewalk by means of a ramp of rough finish have a slope of not more than one-eighth. Entrance and exit ramps shall have a slope not exceeding one-tenth. Entrance and exit steps shall have treads of not less than 300 millimeters. Entrance and exit ramps, entrance and exit steps shall have minimum 2 steps with risers not exceeding 100 millimeters. Entrance and exit steps shall have treads of not less than 300 millimeters. Minimum road right-of-way width that services the lot on which the basement can be constructed should be at least 10 meters wide. Angular shaft shall be at angle of 60 degrees from the horizontal consistent with a maximum Philippine solar angle. Footing shall be at least 2.4 meters below grade along national roads or public highway. Footings along national roads or public highway may project not more than 300 millimeters beyond the property line. Foundations may be permitted to encroach into public sidewalks areas to a width not exceeding 500 millimeters. Foundations may be permitted provided that the top of the said foundation is not more than 600 millimeters below the established grade. The clearance between the established grade of the street or sidewalk and the lowest undersurface of any part of the balcony shall not be less than 3 meters. The vertical clearance between the pavement or ground line and the undersurface of any part of the canopy shall not be less than 3 meters. The vertical clearance between the undermost surface of the awning and the pavement or ground line shall not be less than 2.4 meters. Awning is defined as the light roof-like structure supported entirely by the exterior wall of a building consisting a fixed or movable frame covered with cloth, plastic or metal, extending over doors, window, or show windows. Marquee defined as a permanent roof structure attached to and supported entirely by a building, including any object or decoration attached to or part. Canopy is defined as the light roof structure supported by the exterior wall of the building on columns or wholly on columns. Arcaded pedestrian walkway shall have a clear height of 3 meters. Every corner building or solid fence on a public street or alley less than 3.6 meters in width shall be truncated at the corner. The face of the triangle so formed shall be at right angle to the bisector of the angle of the intersection of the straight lines, provided that in no case shall the length of the shaft be less than 4 meters. Projection of pedestrians during construction or demolition must have 1.2 meters wide temporary walkway. Walkways must have railings of at least 1 meter. Fence and canopy height must be at least 2.4 meters. 10 days notice to the owners of adjoining buildings before excavation. Attic access. Opening of 0.6 meters square or diameter with 0.80 meters clear headroom above. Enclosed attic spaces. Divided into 250 square meters spaces by fire-resistive walls extending from ceiling to the roof and self-closing doors. Draft stops shall be installed in trussed roofs between roof and bottom cords or trusses in all buildings exceeding 2,000 square meters. 2 exits, number of exits for more than 10 occupant loads. 3 exits, number of exits for 500 to 900 occupant loads. 4 exits, number of exits for 1,000 plus occupant loads. Total width of exits in meters shall not be less than the total occupant loads served divided by 165. Arrangement of exits. If only 2 exits are required, they shall be placed a distance apart to not less than 1/5 of the perimeter of the area served measured in a straight line between exits. Distance of exits without AFSS 45 meters. Distance to exits with AFSS 60 meters. Exit doors shall swing in the direction of travel when serving any hazardous areas or when serving an occupant load of 50 or more. Every required exit doorway shall be of a size as to permit the installation of a door not less than 900 mm in width and not less than 2 meters in height. No lift of an exit door shall exceed 1.2 meters in width. Maximum change in floor level at doors shall be 50 mm. Minimum corridor width 1.10 meters. Doors in any position shall not reduce the required width of the corridor by more than 1/2. Maximum length of dead ends 6 meters. 1 hour. Fire resistive construction of walls and ceilings. Rise shall not exceed 200 mm and the run shall not be less than 250 mm. Trim and handrails shall not reduce the required width by more than 100 mm. Every aisle shall not be less than 800 mm wide if serving only one side. Every aisle shall not less than 1000 mm wide if serving both sides. Side aisle shall not less than 1.10 meters in width. Standard seating. The spacing of row of seats from back to back shall not be less than 840 mm. Width of any seat shall not be less than 450 mm. Grandstand bleachers. Spacing of rows of seats measured from back to back shall be 600 mm from seats without backrest and in open air stands.